Day 7. You did it. Day 7. Who's here that has been here all 7 days? Put 7 in the chat if you've been here all 7 days. I'm super curious. Billy, way to go. Ken, nice. Alexandra, Laura, Dolores. That's amazing, you guys. Like that's, you know how many people like registered for this, by the way? We had over 800 people register for this, okay? On day 1, we had about 120, I think, who showed up. And, today, right now, we have 24. But even that, like over 800 people, 600, like 700 people didn't even bother to show up. You know how many people sign up for free shit all the time that they don't even do, you know? And it's really easy to just be like, oh, whatever, like I'll get to it. I've done that. I've done it myself. So really like pat self on back, guys, for showing up and having the experience of something new and different in a way that you haven't before. It's awesome when you're given that. I hear so much from singers, professional singers, who are not quite where they want to be in their career yet, and they're kind of struggling. And I hear this all the time, which is that like nobody wants to support new artists. Nobody wants to support up and coming artists and starving artists. Nobody wants to support them. And it's like, I want to shake them and go, I am giving you this for free. I am literally giving this to you. 7-day training for free. And 700 of the 800 of you don't even show up. So don't give me that, what nobody wants to support. When you're given something, show up for it. So celebrating you guys for being the ones who are showing up to the results and the transformation that you want to see and that you want to be. So how great was yesterday? Oh my gosh. You want to know something? I did not know when Tordis said that had she not been in the intensive training program and learned how to like connect mind and body and be present to her body, she never would have felt the lump in her thyroid, and she would have just let it go, and it would have done nerve damage that could have caused her to never sing again. I had no idea. That was the first time I had heard her share that. That's nuts. Like, it just makes me so grateful that I get to, like, we have the internet, and she's in Iceland, that we have this amazing platform to connect across the world to help you guys. And, just talking about breaking the patterns of fixed mindset, expanding growth mindset. I'm curious if any of you had a breakthrough on that yesterday, noticing the ways in which fixed mindset has been creeping in and sabotaging you. Does anybody want to share? Did anybody have a breakthrough on that? Use the raise hand function. Like, yeah, who got some new awareness around the ways in which fixed mindset's been sabotaging you and creeping in? Anybody want to share a win around that? Nobody's been in fixed mindset? I'm calling poo-poo on that. Yeah, Cherie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
wait, I have to unpin. Okay, now we can see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I really, in listening to her, the big thing that I got was that if she hadn't come to you, she wouldn't have known about that, because she became more tuned in and aware to her body. And so that was a huge thing. And then also she just never gave up. And I thought about, I work on that, but I've always lived in LA where I'm, surrounded. She's in Iceland, and it's like, it really made me think about my fixed mindset, how I might give up easily or not keep moving forward, with my singing, because, well, they were better than me, or I didn't sound that good, or I don't look that good. Right. I've been through the surgery, so I don't look as good. It's just like all those things.
All the excuses start to show up, and we can feel very justified in our excuses. But you guys, this is like the beauty of the group and the community, is that like you got a distinction from listening to her a breakthrough on your own mindset from listening to her that never would have come to light if you had just been in like a one-on-one voice lesson or a one-on-one mindset coaching.
Right.
Like, so that's also like just proof of the beauty of how the group really works. Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing that. Does anybody else want to share, any of those of you who put in the chat some of a breakthrough that you had on how you've been stuck in fixed mindset versus growth mindset? You can use the raise hand function. Yeah, Ginger, did you say me? Do you want to share? Or were you just commiserating? I think maybe she was commiserating. Um, so all of this is to say, guys, that like, yeah, Ginger, you can share, or maybe you were commiserating. I'm not sure what you were saying yes to, but like, oh, and I see Leslie. Leslie's here. So Leslie's been through our program, and she's in our Singers Alliance program now. And you guys, like, even singers who are, I mean, Leslie's been in our tribe for almost 2 years now, maybe almost 3 years now, like, comes to these workshops. Leslie, do you want to share a little bit for a second about your relationship with yourself and about fixed mindset versus growth mindset? Are you cool to come on camera for a second, share?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Hi. Hi. So nice to
Hey.
um I was listening yesterday and um it's not that I don't know these ideas or images or some of these practices, but um in taking a month off and then coming back, I was reminded listening powerful how powerfully the negative judgments can reestablish themselves. It's like a real ongoing practice. Like it's not something, oh, I did that there and
Right.
going to stay there. It's like, no, it's like tending a garden or something. It's like a real invigorated, like daily thing because it does, the weasels do get back in there. And what I realized too is that much more of my work going forward is it's equally, if not more important than the technique, because I can't do anything, as you often say, that your brain is in the way of me being able to be present for. So
Yeah, but I mean, think of this new growth edge. Um, and so for those of you who maybe don't know Leslie, well, probably most of you don't, but Leslie is a musical theater singer. She's an amazing Broadway actress and singer, and she works a lot. And she's been on Broadway, and she works in LA, and she does a lot of things. And still, like, there was a ceiling that she was feeling, she was hitting with being able to integrate her voice and trust it. And so now, Leslie, what you're saying is like, okay, the technique is in there. I mean, P.S. That never would have come out of your mouth a year ago, right? But like, since we're talking about this, how did you notice how that fixed mindset was getting in the way of the technique? But now you have the technique. So how do you notice the fixed mindset kind of moving off into vacation? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, maybe this is like when you learn anything, but it can feel after, it's the thrill of beginner mind. And then when you get into it, it can feel complex. But as you start to spend more time, a lot more time, the ideas become more consolidated. So there's sort of it's not that it's simple, but it's simpler, like a anchor in a sail. Like those are reference points, but underneath them is then all the time I've spent. But
tending the garden.
but if I get wrapped around, is it going to sound like what I'm expecting? It doesn't sound like that person that I heard. That thing is still in, those sort of, it keeps me from being present in the moment of doing those two things. You know what? So it becomes less, it just becomes clearer what my job is.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
less mysterious,
what's the nutshell of your job? How would you say what your job actually is?
The nutshell of my job is to, with compassion and not drama, work on material and use the images for technical support. And when I find difficulty, practice going to being aware in the moment of check out or grab, or as opposed to judge. But that gives me a way to build on the coordination, like it. So I guess that's what the mindset work is not like some frosting later. It's
Oh,
not,
no, no, no. It
it's
is
the whole
the,
thing you go to.
yes.
And this is what I teach dance students, is like your confidence is not, I mean, you can speak affirmation to yourself, but that's not going to hold you up. Like your affirmation is built into the work that you've done, and that's your foundation.
Mhm.
And so this is discovering that this is where I can abandon myself of not being able to feel the pieces to, support myself. And that gets really deep, support yourself is not really, it's real and physical as well as an idea.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. And thank you for popping in on camera. I totally ambushed Leslie. I didn't know she was going to be in here today.
But that's what really struck me because I even talked about it yesterday with some friends, and saying, I really have to prioritize the mindset work, because it's like, even saying I should be better at this is avoiding the work.
Well, yeah, no, then you're in a should.
Yeah,
Then you're in
yeah.
a should, and now you're beating yourself up, and you're going to make yourself feel bad, and that's going to make it harder for you to weed the mind garden, as it were. But I
Yeah.
love that analogy about the mindset work. It's not like icing on the cake. It is the butter and the flour and the sugar that bakes the cake and keeps everything together. So that's a great analogy. I'm going to be using that one. Well, thanks for impromptu sharing while we're here. Andrea, I see your hand. Did you have a breakthrough on how fixed mindset was showing up versus growth mindset?
Yes, very much so. My my challenge. I'm not going to call it my problem. I'm going to call my challenge. My challenge is that is accepting that whatever I do, or whatever my gifts are, that I'm worthy of having them, and I'm also worthy of sharing them. So I shared a little bit of this with you when we had our call yesterday, or whenever that was. It's all a blur, a good blur. But the fact that, okay, I should be just satisfied with the fact that I'm a pianist and that's what I do, and anything else is like I'm asking for more. I'm asking for too much.
And who are you? How dare you? How dare
Exactly,
you?
exactly. Yeah, that was good enough. And so, yeah, you can make a living doing that and so on and so forth. But how dare you want to take voice? How dare you want to be an actor? How dare you do these other things that I have done? But it's kind of like the voice is sort of, I'm going to say, like the last frontier. Because, I've done well in my small town as an actor, and I feel very confident in that. And I, directed and produced and all that other stuff. But as far as breaking through into being seen as a very, competent, that's a terrible word. That's like a C minus, right?
Impactful.
Impactful singer, somebody that's valuable, that you want to have in your cast, or you want to have a soloist in your choir. I have solos I want to go out for next week, and in the Bay Area, and I'm struggling today with wanting to feel confident that I can go out and do it well, because I also know that those directors don't see me as a solo singer, and they have told me that you don't have a solo voice. And so anyway, so that's my little challenge right now, is to be able to move forward into that.
Right. The fixed mindset would have you buy into those stories and take them on your own and believe them.
Exactly.
And here's the insidiousness of that, you guys, is that then it lets us off the hook.
Yeah, exactly.
It lets us off the hook from actually taking steps that would get us either the help that we need or the guidance or the step-by-step or whatever to get where we want to go, because, well, I guess I'm not a solo singer, so I guess I'm off the hook now. I don't even have to try.
Yeah.
And then you ensure the outcome that you really didn't want in the first place.
Right.
You know?
Last year I didn't go out for it because I thought, well, they never pick me, so I'm just going to remove the heartache that I
Right.
will have
Right.
when I don't, when I don't get it.
You're making the decision for them
Exactly.
so that you don't have to experience the discomfort of getting the no.
Yeah.
But see, this is where that number one belief from the top 4 beliefs as successful singers comes in, which is there is no failure, only opportunity. So you get to view, I'm going to give you a little coaching on this now. You get to view this audition coming up not as the end all be all, I'm going to do this once and either I get it or I don't get it, and that's going to prove to me whether I should do it or I shouldn't do it. No. Okay? You're going to go to this audition and you're going to get some data. Your intention for this audition is, I'm going to use my tools this week. I'm going to show up to my meditation. I'm going to do my daily practice of my exercises. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get some data to see where I am at. Not so that they can tell me, because, at the end of the day, whether you get chosen or not chosen is 50% about you and 50% about them. I have a story. I'm going to make it like super brief, but one of my singers got into the final callbacks of a Broadway thing. This was like a couple of years ago. It would have been her first big Broadway show. Final callbacks, didn't get it, and it threw her for a loop, because she was just like, and she blamed herself. Like, we had to help her dig out of this hole, like in her mindset. It took like a couple of months, because she just made it mean that it wasn't meant for her. She's never going to get it, whatever. And a couple months later, she was at a social function, and the casting director was there, and he didn't remember her. I mean, the casting, they see thousands and thousands of people, and she was in a group, at this social thing, and they were talking, and he turns to her and he goes, you remind me so much of my ex-wife. Why do you think she didn't get that? I'm serious. You guys, she could have sung circles around everybody. She could have been like, and she still wouldn't have gotten it, because in his subconscious mind, she reminds him of his ex-wife, and that it was just never going to be. And yet she made it mean all this stuff about her, right? So the outcome is it's 50% about them, 50% about you. So you get to show up and get your own data about
Right.
what's going to happen when you go there.
Yeah.
Where does your mind go? Are you able to stay in the present moment? Where does your technique go? What happens? Your job is just to witness in the present moment, be in the story of what you're doing, see what happens, and then you're going to do, and this, you guys, somebody was asking about auditions. I forget, maybe it was Heidi, or I forget, in the Q&A that I'm going to address in a minute, but this is one of the best things to do for those of you who do a lot of auditions, which is after every audition, you're going to do a little post game from the data, and you're going to do 5 things I did well and 1 thing that I want to optimize before the next audition. 1 thing, because your mind is going to want to go, oh my God, this didn't go right, and that didn't go right, and this didn't go, no, 5 things I did well, because remember, you guys, we talked about on Monday, the reason we celebrate is to know what we're doing that's going well so we can keep doing it, okay? So 5 things you did well, and 1 thing that you can optimize that will move the needle the most before the next audition that you take, okay? And you're going to show up to this to get some data like the scientist. This is an exploration. It's an experiment. It's not an audition. It's where you get to say, oh, this is time in the saddle. Okay, more time in the saddle. The more data you get, then the next time that you take a shot, you're going to move the needle closer into the bullseye. Then you get more data. Then the next time you take a shot, you move even closer into the bullseye. Guys, this is growth-based thinking, target-based thinking, not fixed thinking. Oh, either I did it or I didn't do it. Sucks to be me. If I don't get it, that means that I shouldn't do it. And now I don't do it anymore. And then you never get to the target, ever.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So,
Well, thank you for that. I will say the ironic part of it is that night we're going to have a fundraiser and we're going to do, anybody who wants to do, is we're doing a little cabaret. And when I showed up to rehearsal last Monday night, our former president, board, anyway, he said, "Oh, I hope that you're signing up." And I said, "Oh, well, that's nice. Why?" And he goes, "Because you were so great last year." And I thought, okay, there's a win.
Yeah,
So even though who knows what's going to happen with the audition, I still have a performance that night
you
that I
do.
control. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
And guess what? The audition is also a performance. So
Yes, it is.
this
Yes.
also goes to, let me look on my notes here. Who was it who was asking audition questions? Oh, it was Alexandra. Alexandra. So this is another thing for you, Alexandra, about auditions, you guys. You get into your head about auditions because you don't view it as a performance. You make it mean something completely different. You don't have an audition and a performance that night. You have two performances. If you're an auditioning singer, if you're an actor, a Broadway singer, an opera singer, you're in the position of you don't really get to perform and do your job unless somebody hires you. But guess what? Every audition is a performance. This is somebody's giving you an opportunity to get up and share and be impactful and connect and do your thing. So viewing that, and it gives it a completely different meaning in your mind than, oh, this is an audition, I have to prove myself, I'm going to be judged, I better stand out. That's a completely different meaning. And what we make things mean, you guys get to choose. You get to choose your meaning. You can either choose a meaning that serves or a meaning that doesn't. So it's a performance, and now your body's going to react hopefully a different way, because in a performance you've already been given the job, you're already affirmed. Okay, great, this is my performance, so it's just another opportunity that you get to share and that you get to do your thing. So that's another great way of approaching auditions.
Yeah, thank you
Just
for
another
that.
performance.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, good. Awesome, you guys. Well, I really enjoy hearing about some of the breakthroughs and how you've been noticing what's going on in between your ears. As one of my great mentors always says, the neighborhood between your ears, it's a bad neighborhood. Don't go there alone. Don't go into your head alone, right? So that's why we give you so much support around mindset stuff here. So, all right, let me go back to what I was going to talk about today, because we're doing Q&A. Same housekeeping rules apply. Questions go in the chat. This is the safe space. Please uphold that. There were some of you who posted questions in the Facebook group, which I have. There were questions about technique stuff. There were also a bunch of questions about the intensive. So I'm going to go through those first. And then if you have some questions for the Q&A and you're here live that you want to ask me, we will just after that go into just raise hands in the chat like we did before. Okay, so let me just knock out the intensive program questions so that we can move into some coaching. So a bunch of you were asking, when are the intensive program classes, days and times? So all of you have the link. I'm going to screen share for a second. All of you have the link to this page that Ashley was putting into the chat. She will put it again right now. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page about the intensive, there's frequently asked questions. I gotta get all the way down there. Okay, so when you get to the frequently asked questions, there is one that says, when and how are the weekly classes? And that's all right there for you, okay? So you can, and I can put it in the chat for you guys, but I just want you to know that it is on that page. And just make sure that you are looking at it translating it into your time zone, whatever that may be. So I will put that also in the chat so you guys can copy it down if you're not on the website right now. Another question was, what about conflicts, travel? What if you have to miss a session due to work or sick? So if it's a big conflict, you get COVID and you're knocked out for 3 weeks. We had a singer whose spouse died, it was 5 years ago. in a freak accident in the middle of the program, and it was like, yeah, oh, okay. Like, and so in those situations, like we pause. Like she paused for about 4 months. When one of our singers, whenever anybody gets COVID or whatever, we pause for 3 or 4 weeks. You know, if it's something that's like serious and, you know, a for real thing, we just pause when we need to, especially if like you want to start the program now in the summer and you know that you have travel coming up in August or something for like 2 weeks. If you know that, we just know that we're going to just pause for those 2 weeks, whatever, and then we just tack on that time at the end of your program. That said, if it's like, oh, I just have a doctor's appointment that I can't change, or, you know, oh, I have a migraine and I can't come to class. Like if it's just little things that you're missing one class here or there, we don't pause. That's exactly why we record all of our classes, so that you can go back, watch, get the training, get the distinctions. Somebody asked, can we pay as we go? Yes, that is exactly why we have our 4-month like payment options, where you can do $18.97, 4 monthly payments of $18.97, so you can absolutely pay as you go. Somebody asked, how big are the studio class groups? Do you take time on each group call for every person? So we cap out at about 10 to 12 singers in the program at any time, because it's a lot of individual attention. And yes, somebody asked, are you the one actually coaching? Yes, I am actually the one coaching in studio class. And at the beginning of every class, I say, all right, everybody type into the chat, let me know what you want some support on today. And so everybody who wants support and everybody who wants to sing, we carve out time. You know, if you don't want to sing one day, you don't have to. I'm not gonna force you, but I think you probably do. So as long as you want to coach that day, you will get coached that day. Somebody else asked, oh, can you work privately with me in one-on-one voice lessons? And the answer to that is no. And here's why. Because you guys have had this experience over the course of this week where we're coaching holistically. We're coaching skill set, which is your technique. We're coaching mindset. We're coaching artistry. And we're doing it in the context of the group, where you're getting all kinds of distinctions that you never would have gotten had you just been in a one-on-one on your own. Like, you know, and so that I have coached one-on-one. I did that for many years in the old-fashioned, you know, come for a lesson once a week, you know, do that. And it does not get the same results. It does not get the same results as training in the intensive program, because one-on-one training, it trains one piece of the puzzle. It trains your technique, and that's it. It's not, you don't have the 360 holistic, you know, scope that we're working with in the intensive. And so I don't coach one-on-one with singers outside the context of my programs anymore, because it doesn't get the results. And so you end up wasting money, because to coach with an expert with my level of experience and my level of results, you know, and you're in a major city, if you're in Los Angeles, you know, or New York or whatever, you're looking at $400 to $450 an hour right now. And if you were going to do that with me once a week, you're looking at $1,200 to $1,500 a month, which is $15,000 over the course of the year, more, $16,000, $17,000 over the course of the year. And it doesn't address the real problems. It only addresses a piece of it. So I stopped doing that because it felt out of integrity to me. It did not feel like it was in integrity with, you know, I don't want you guys to waste money. I don't want you guys to waste time. And so that is why I don't do that. I think my website may still say that I do, because I'm so busy with all of this that I haven't updated my website for a little bit. So, but I don't work one-on-one with singers outside the context of our programs. Somebody asked if I enroll in the program and I change my mind, can I change my mind? What happens? And so if you're interested in joining the intensive program, for at any point during the first 2 weeks, if you're like, you know what, this is not for me, then we prorate you, we refund the rest of the tuition. But after the 2 weeks, you've been in 6 studio classes with us. You've had one-on-one mindset call. You've had group mindset call. You've had, you know, you've been in the technique trainings. Like, you know what we're about. If after the 2 weeks, then there's no refund, because you know what we're about, and now we're in for the game. Now, this is not an invitation for you to come in and just like dip your pinky toe in the water and let me just like be a fly on the wall and let me just like see. It doesn't work that way, because if you do that, you're not going to get distinctions. You're not going to know if this is for you. But if you come in and you playful out and you show up to every class and you're doing your module trainings and you're doing everything, and then you're like, you know what, I don't think this is a fit for me, then we prorate, and then we refund the rest, because at the end of the day, I don't want anyone in the tribe who doesn't want to be here, because the community and the group is a huge part of your transformation. And so if I don't want anyone who doesn't want to be here, because it brings down the group and the transformation that we can get in the group. So that's what happens if you change your mind. You know, and it's, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer, because you literally have nothing to lose. Let's see. Oh, this is a big one. So a couple of you have asked this to me on your discovery calls. And somebody wrote me an email. So, can you guarantee results? Arden, can you guarantee results? Can you guarantee that it will work for me? And this is how I always answer this question, because I get it all the time. And I think, you know, it's very interesting personally, which is that, you know, we all want to guarantee. We all want to know. Right? Like, before we invest time, energy, money, we want to know, we want to guarantee that we're going to get what we want. Can I guarantee you results? That it will work for you? No, I cannot. I can guarantee that the system works, that the method works, because I see it every single day with singers like Leslie, who you just heard from, for everyone who you've heard from this week, Cora, Suzette, whatever. Yes, I can guarantee that the method works. Will it work for you? I don't know, because I don't know you. Only you know you. But if you show up, playful out, give 110%, you're coachable, you're accountable, you're resourceful, then yeah, it will work for you too when you show up like that. But I don't know how you're going to show up. Only you know how you're going to show up. So, you know, I get that we want to guarantee. And I think I said this on the phone to Cherie earlier, maybe, which is that, like, I appreciate the uncertainty, right? And the guarantee that I can give you guys is that if you do nothing, you will stay where you are. That I can absolutely guarantee. The other, can I guarantee results for you? You have to show up to that, and only you know how you're going to show up. So when you show up and playful out, then yeah, it will work for you too. Okay, so those were the main questions about the training program. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So let's go into some technique questions that were emailed and posted. So Heidi had some questions about the inhale and about the breathing. So she says, when we inhale into our back, because the ribs are in the back. Well, specifically, Heidi, it's because the lungs are in the back. You have more lung in the back than you do in the front. Okay. And when we're gently, she asks, when we're gently holding ourselves open in the ribs during the exhale, do we gently hold the ribs open in the back as well? And are we gently flexing into the back as well as we sing through the phrase? Or do we let our back fill with air on the inhale and not worry about keeping the back open? So she says, I guess my question is, when we keep our rib space open through most of the phrase, are we only talking about the sides of the rib cage, or are we talking about all the way around? Okay, good question. We're talking about 360. Okay, so we're talking about like everything from like where the ribs are all the way around. But what we want to make sure is that we're not like forcing this. Okay, so the ribs is the top of what I call the container of support. So the container of support is everything. The abdominals that we were talking about, the ribs, the lower back, pelvic floor, that's the container of support, right? Ribs are top of container of support. And when you think about the idea of leaning out into your container, so when you inhale, I want you to focus on the back body because most of you have been focusing on your belly, which does not get you the outcome that you want. But in truth, it's not just the back body that expands. That's where I want you to put your attention because that's where you have the most lung tissue. But you know, if you can think about like, you guys know like what a DeLorean looks like, or the doors of a Tesla that open like this, you know, like that, right? Or like in the Back to the Future car, right? So if you can think about first rib and clavicle that goes all the way around, that's the top of your rib cage. If you can imagine, and this is not what your physiology is, I'm just asking you to imagine that there's a hinge that goes here, and all of your ribs are like, you know, connected to this hinge, and all of this three-dimensionally in the back, on the sides, in the front, it all, like the doors of the DeLorean, like releases and expands to create room for the lungs filling with air. So my back body, I'm focusing on mainly because I don't want to push air into my belly, but everything goes. So if you watch me like on side, like even my front, but it doesn't get like, right? I'm not pulling my shoulders up. And if you watch, well, you can kind of see my back body if I kind of go sideways, if you can watch. I don't know how much of a view that was, but like everything is like this, is going like this. So on the inhale, but then what happens as you're singing is, so you've created this beautiful open space, and now your job is to like flex through it three-dimensionally, because if you let one collapse, it all collapses. Or if you actively like push, where most of you do on the sides, it collapses the back, it collapses the front, like everything goes. So you don't necessarily have to focus on the entirety, Heidi. You can still focus on like flexing through the sides, and that will keep you pretty much three-dimensional. Or you can visualize like a corset around you and like keeping, you know, creating kind of that resistance, like you're into the corset over the phrase, so you don't recede away and collapse. So I hope that answers that question. Let me know in the chat, Heidi, if that feels like more clarity to you. Okay, let's see. Alexandra had a couple questions. Okay, she says, I did the making a song your own exercise. It was fun. It made me wonder if there are any tips for what to do during longer intros and interludes. Absolutely. So remember how when we were talking about the making a song your own, and I said, okay, like if this were a movie in your mind, and I said, what's the scene? What would have just happened? What can you see? What did this person say? What did you, right? So that movie in your mind that's like playing the scene out, that is giving you the reason to say the first line of the song, as we coached, play that movie in your mind during the intro. So the song doesn't start when you sing. The song starts when the music starts, not when you come in, right? So if you have a long intro, if I'm you, I'm playing that movie in my mind that, you know, let's say I'm singing like, I don't know why this just came into my head, from Into the Woods, if I'm singing Cinderella's song. And there's like a good 8 or 12 bars of intro on that. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And so I'm playing that movie in my mind, and I'm seeing the prince with me, and then he took the shoe, and then, oh my God, and what am I gonna do? And now I'm stuck, and this is all the movie in my mind that's playing, and then he's a very smart prince. He's a prince who prepares. So I'm in the movie in my mind during the whole intro. I'm playing that out, and now I have a reason to say he's a very smart prince. You know what I mean? And the same thing when you have a long interlude. You're still in the movie in your mind. So what is going on during that interlude that then compels you to say the very first phrase that you come in with at the end of the interlude? It's the same concept, okay? Good. I want to circle back for a second because I see some questions in the chat about the breathing. For a second, I see Diane was asking, how do you flex and support without feeling stiff? Good question. So if you are muscling out, right? So if you think about, like, there's a difference between muscling and holding and moving through, okay? So if I breathe in and I expand my ribs, and then I'm gonna, I'm muscling, I'm holding, it's done, and it's like too much, okay? Like, no bueno, okay? Instead of that feeling of breathing in and then visualizing the energy of the phrase flowing through, moving through that container that you're creating. So you're not holding, it's not a static thing. It's a flowing thing. So like, if you had your hands on me, like if you were standing behind me and holding my ribs and had hands also on my like obliques or my lower abdominals, and I'm gonna sing a phrase, whatever, I'll do that same Into the Woods thing, right? If I hold my shirt, I should have worn a tighter shirt today so you could see. But he's a very smart prince. He's a prince who prepares. You would feel this sensation of I'm moving through rather than getting to the max and having to hold it out. Like I breathe in and then I sit in. That's the best way that I can describe it. It's one of the hardest things. It's one of the things that we work with the singers in the intensive usually the most on, is finding that sweet spot to be able to keep the integrity of the container in the lower abdominals and in the ribs by that feeling of moving through rather than like forcing and then holding, because that's when you feel stiff. So my guess, Diane, is that you're going too far, too fast, too soon, and it's like instead of sit and move through. Okay, but that's one of the things that we work on a lot and takes time and takes expertise and years to kind of help you find. So don't be discouraged if it's hard for you to do on your own. Okay, so I just wanted to address that because I saw that in the chat. Let me go back to address some of the questions that were submitted and then we'll go to the ones in the chat. Okay, so we talked about auditions, Alexandra. Some other like tools for auditions so that you're less intimidated is making sure that you are setting up a ritual for how you practice that is the same ritual that you do before the audition. So for example, a lot of singers, they're not in a daily practice of a daily meditation. They're not in a daily practice of vocal technique exercises that help them to condition that awareness in their body when they sing. And instead, they are not doing a whole lot. And then all of a sudden they have an audition and they know about it maybe 10 days before. And now they're like practicing every single day and they're like in it, right? And but the problem with that is that sets up your mindset for fight or flight. And then your body's going to go into that audition with what you've been practicing with, which is, oh my God, I have this audition. I better practice. I better get this done. I have 10 days. Like, I better do it. And that's what you have been conditioning, and that's what you take into the audition. Instead, getting that when you have set up your daily practice, your daily ritual, whatever you want to call it, like, for me, when I was really actively auditioning and performing a lot, it was get up, walk the dog, come back, do my daily meditation, my 20 minutes. Immediately after doing my 20 minutes, it was some breath work and then my practice. And I got that all done by like 10 a.m. And it was back to back because I'm doing I'm doing a little walking, I'm getting outside, I'm waking up, I'm doing my meditation, and then I'm immediately into my vocal practice that I'm practicing from that place of mind-body connection that I set up right before I practice. That was what worked best for me. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but just sharing. But that was what I was doing every day. And so my body is learning the steps and the ritual that brings me certainty in my skill set and in my mindset. I am conditioning that certainty every day. So now the day of an audition comes up and I'm doing the same ritual. And now my mind and my body are like, oh, it's just another day. We know what this is. And then I go into the audition. It's just like, just another day, and I nail it because I'm not making it anything different in my mind. I'm not doing anything different. I'm not like, do you get this? So it's really like, I know maybe that's not the answer that maybe you were hoping for. I know maybe you were hoping for like, oh, what's a little trick to help you like center, you know what I mean? But like, and there are those too, right? Because sometimes, here's another thing, which is like, you go into the audition and you're sitting there, and a lot of times you hear the people who are going before you through the wall, through the door, whatever, and you hear them and they're like freaking amazing, and you're going to yourself, like, I don't do that. How am I gonna compare to that? I can't compete with that, right? So part of not getting sucked into that story is also just what I was talking about a minute ago, about like conditioning, because you learn not to pay attention to the inner critic. And so, you know, as you do that, when those thoughts come in, it's just like, you know what? That's great for that person. That's what that person does well. But I'm me, I'm Arden. And what I bring is completely different than what that person brings, and that's okay. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna bring me. That's all I need to do. So that's another way of just like not listening to what's going on, but you know, and making meaning out of how good they are. Great, they're good, but they're not you. And what you do, they don't do. And what they do, maybe you don't do. And that's okay. And that's why one of you will be cast, you know? So those are some audition things. Alexandra also asked about our Video Vault virtual studio membership. So on my website, there's something called a Video Vault, and all it is it's just like, I mean, it's curated technique videos that, I mean, they're all on YouTube. You can find them all on YouTube, but on YouTube, you know what YouTube is like, nothing is curated. So you could go down the rabbit hole and it could take you like 45 minutes just to find what you're looking for, you know what I mean? So the Video Vault is, it's like a super cheap, I think it's like $9.99 a year or something like that, to give you access to all the videos, all the training videos that I've done, but in a way that's curated, like that's, you know, so we'll have like a category and it'll be like breath support. And then it'll be like, watch this first, then watch this, then watch that. And, you know, it's just being able to watch training videos that are curated. And it's pretty self-explanatory that way. So like if you become a member, it means that you're on our email list, and it's $9 a year to access those curated videos. If you're not a member, it means you're not joining our email list, which means then I think it's like $27 or something yearly to be able to watch and practice with those videos. And we add to them, like every time I'm making new videos that we're putting on YouTube and stuff like that, we're curating them and adding them to their particular category. So it's just super user-friendly, super searchable, instead of having to like go down the YouTube rabbit hole and have no idea where to find what you want. But to be fair, like, because you guys have been in the workshop, you've gotten way more tools and stuff than what's in the Video Vault, but it can be cool to go check out. Okay, let me look in the chat. I'm just going to go back into this and see what questions were put in the chat quickly here. Okay. Give me uno momento. Okay. Okay. You guys are so supportive of each other in the chat. It's so great. Let's see. Okay. How do we join the Facebook group? Okay, Ashley put that in the chat. Yes. Diane's asking, do I still do vocal production? I do, but it's pretty, it's pretty specific. I don't take on a ton of vocal producing projects each year. It's usually people who are working on a full album, and they will bring me and I will go to wherever they are. I'll go to LA or I'll go to Nashville or whatever. And we will work beforehand online on Zoom, like getting all of the songs, like really working up all of the interest, the intention and everything. So we have a common language, the songs feel good, and then I will go to Nashville or New York or wherever it is for like the 2 to 5 days of tracking of sessions and be there with the engineer, getting the best performance out of you guys. It's super fun work for me, but because a lot of my time is coaching in these programs, I only take on like a handful of vocal producing projects every year. But yes, I do still do that. Okay, let's see. How do you flex the, okay, we did that. We did Diane's question. Okay, talk about, please, Ginger, please talk about creating space in your head. I don't get it. Okay. Ginger, you're so cute. And by the way, Ginger's joining the intensive program. So Ginger, when you come into the program starting soon, like we're going to get to all of that. So I don't want you to stress. Okay. But just in case anybody else was wondering, it's not about space in your head. It's about space in your mouth, in your buccal cavity. Okay. So like your soft palate, the degree and way in which you can stretch and pull and shift the shape of your soft palate determines the amount of inside space inside your mouth. And so that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about necessarily creating space inside your head. The visual though, to help you guys like stretch and pull up and expand this dome of your soft palate inside your skull, the visual can often be to just feel like the external things are pulling and expanding so that the internal structures like follow along. So I think that might be the first confusion. How do you create space in your head? You don't. You're not creating space in your head. You're creating space in your mouth that expands up into your head. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Lynn was asking, yeah, how frequently the courses. So Amy or Ashley answered you in the chat, but also, so you guys were rolling when it comes to starting the course. It's not like we start on August 1st and like everybody starts then. It's not done that way. It is rolling. So you could literally be in class with us this coming week if you wanted to. And it works beautifully because you would be in module 1 and another singer would be in module 3 and another singer would be in module 7. And those singers who are in module 7 and 3, they still need to be reminded of the foundations of module 1. And so when we're coaching on module 1, they're getting more distinctions and they're getting more repetition and conditioning. And for you, you're in module 1, but you're watching module 3 coached and you're watching module 7 being coached, and you're sort of laying the groundwork for when you get there. So it's not super foreign to you when you get to the trainings, but also you're looking at like the big breakthroughs and the massive transformations of sound. And you're like, oh my God, I want that. Okay, well, if I want that, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because that's how I'm going to get there. So it's also very motivating and inspiring. So we are rolling and you can literally pick your start date whenever you're ready. Okay, Elizabeth, in order for the diaphragm to expand, it does expand into the abdominal space. Exactly. Right. I am not understanding how to hold the support abdominal muscles and slow down. Okay. So you're actually understanding everything correct. Elizabeth, I just don't think you're understanding the A to B to C. Okay. So as you inhale, dome-shaped diaphragm inverts to become a bowl that kind of pushes down on your viscus, right? Your intestines, whatever, to make room for the lungs filling with air, okay? The diaphragm, like the dome-shaped muscle of the diaphragm, the edges of the diaphragm tuck in to all the muscles of the abdominals and the mid and lower back. And so what we do with these muscles directly affects what happens to the diaphragm. So when we gently flex these muscles, because the diaphragm tucks into these muscles, when we gently flex these muscles, it keeps the diaphragm low and moving slow so that it's just the exact right amount and right velocity of air that gets moved out of your lungs through your vocal cords. That's my best explanation. I hope that made sense to you. It's just like anatomy and physiology and physics. And so I don't want you to think, I think part of the confusion is your language is telling me how you're thinking about it. And you're asking, how do I hold the support abdominal muscles and slow letting air escape? There's two massive problems in language here, which is telling me of how your brain is conceiving of it that's not supporting what you want. Number one, you think you need to hold the abdominal muscles. You do not. If you're thinking hold, you will contract, and these muscles will go into static instead of flexing, leaning through. Okay, so that's number one. We're never holding the support muscles. We are gently flexing down and through over the course of the phrase. And then also not letting air escape. I don't want you to think about not letting air escape, because if you do, you will also hold, because again, your body is responding to what your brain is telling it and to the words that you're using to describe these things, okay? So don't worry about letting air escape, because then you're gonna go like this to try to keep it in. Your only job is to visualize the container of support gently flexing down and away from your larynx. That's it. And when you do that, if you do it consistently and if you do it gradually, then you will be creating the exact right amount of air that moves through your cords that needs to for a beautiful, efficient, focused sound, okay? I hope that is clear for you, Elizabeth. Let's see. Okay, Becca, do you ever get hoarse, and how do you recover fast for an event? Also, what's your daily best diet habits for vocal health? Okay, I love this question, Becca, because no, I do not ever get hoarse, because I know how to move my opposition away from my larynx so that when I sing, even if I sing a 2-hour show, I'm not putting pressure on my larynx, which is what creates hoarseness. Okay, when support and diaphragm and ribs and muscles are moving up towards your larynx, that puts pressure from below. And when your soft palate and your sail and anything up here, tongue, jaw, is grabbing and pushing down towards your larynx, that creates pressure from above. And both of those things, tension, pressure, cause these vocal cords, which are like super fine butterfly wings that just come together like right in the very edges. It's too much pressure, and it causes them to do this, and then they push together and they whack together too forcefully, which creates edema, swelling. And so now you have like a little part of this cord that's a little swollen, and so this comes together, but now the top can't because it's swollen, okay? And now you get air leaking through, which is what creates hoarse, that's what creates the vocal fatigue and the hoarse sound. Vocal fatigue is created by swollen cords. And if you do that enough, you'll get a vocal injury, nodes, vocal hemorrhage, vocal paralysis, okay? All of this can be fixed with proper breath support, right? So I don't get hoarse because I know how to use my body for the most efficient sound to maximize the efficiency of my cords. If you are hoarse, it's telling you that your support is not as supportive as it needs to be. And if you are hoarse, it's because your vocal cords are swollen, and the only way to recover if you need to sing is to shut up. That's it. It's like if you strain a muscle, I mean, your vocal folds are not muscles, but if you strain a muscle, the only way for it to heal is you got to not use the muscle. You got to stay off it, right? If you like sprain your ankle and it's swollen, the only way the swelling is going to go down is if you don't step on that foot and don't put any weight on that ankle. It's the same thing. The cords have to calm down. And so especially don't sing, because if you're hoarse, it's because the way you're singing created that vocal fatigue, and you need to learn to do it a different way, a better way, but also like just lay off it. Don't sing for 24 hours, 48 hours. But if this keeps happening to you, that is not a recipe for a sustainable career. After every time you sing a show, then you have to be on vocal rest for 24, 48 hours. Like, that's not, that's going to create tons of anxiety. And it also means you can't do shows every night. And so then you can't make money when you need to, right? And so, that's definitely like, there are, for example, ENTs, like vocal, otolaryngologists, head and neck surgeons who, they can give you a shot of cortisone, which will take the swelling down. But the problem is your cords are still aggravated. So they're not swollen, but they're still aggravated. They're still sick from all of the pressure you're putting on it. And so you're going to get that shot of cortisone. You're going to feel great because there's no more swelling. And now you're going to go and you're going to sing with all that same pressure that you were putting on before. And this is how singers get vocal hemorrhage, because they're still singing with the bad technique that caused the problem in the first place. Only now they can't feel it because their cords are not swollen, and now they're putting all this pressure, and now you can get a vocal hemorrhage. So it's like, it's a pet peeve of mine. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. I'm like, let's just fix the problem where it exists, and let's get you on a much better, much more efficient breath support so that you're not tiring out your vocal cords in the first place. Daily best diet habits for vocal health. The best and only thing that you need to do for vocal health is stay hydrated. That's it. Like, you always see me with my, this always has water in it or like tea in it. 5 or 6 of these a day. Just stay hydrated, because the more internally hydrated you are, the more pliable and flexible your vocal cords, and the better. Anything else is a marginal difference in your sound. For example, don't eat dairy, don't eat spicy food, don't have super cold, don't have super hot, don't have, all of that stuff. None of it is going to make as any difference to you if you have good technique. So I can eat ice cream, I can have cheese, I can have spicy, I can have whatever I want, because I have good technique and I know how to use my body. I can't remember who I was coaching earlier in the week, and we were doing breath support stuff, and she had some phlegm or something. Which one of you was that? And the minute we got you on the support, the raspiness, the phlegm went away. Not because the phlegm actually went away, it was still in her throat, but she was sending the exact right amount of air to efficiently vibrate her cords, and so the phlegm wasn't vibrating. It didn't bother her. The phlegm is still there. When your breath support is inconsistent and you're either flooding or you're in inconsistent like flow of air, it's jostling whatever muckety muck is on your cords, and then you go, oh my God, I shouldn't eat dairy. Oh my God, I shouldn't have the spicy food. I shouldn't have whatever. When really, if you just got your breath support locked in, 90% of the time you can eat whatever you want and you'll be fine. Now, the caveat here is if you're someone who like actually has an allergic phlegm reaction to dairy, like if you're actually lactose intolerant and you create way more mucus than the normal person would, than I would if I'm eating ice cream, then maybe stay away from the dairy, right? If you're somebody who has reflux, GERD, acid reflux, right? Stay away from the spicy, stay away from the coffee and the orange juice and the super acidic things, because that sends acid up, and that you can get little spots on your vocal cords, little acid sores on your vocal cords, which can affect your sound. So, if you have an actual medical issue, then yeah, watch what you eat. But if you're normal health, no allergies, whatever, 99% of the time, when you get on your support and you get your technique dialed, I can eat whatever I want. Like me personally, I don't love to have a massive meal before I sing, right? But I have a fast metabolism. I have to eat before I perform. I need that energy. So I know for me, like having a bowl of pasta or having I like, to do like breakfast for dinner. I'll have some scrambled eggs and some toast. Like I need some protein, I need some stuff, but I'm not gonna have like a massive meal that makes me feel, but that's me. Somebody else, if they have really good technique, might be able to do that, and that's fine. So you know your body, but also know that singers are like, oh my God, I slept in air conditioning, so that's why I don't sound so good in my lesson today. I'm like, no, it's your breath support. oh my God, I ate the dairy. No, it's your breath support. And like, it always is. So that's my soapbox about that kind of thing. If you have good technique, you can do whatever you want. You can. Let's see. Let me go. Okay, Katie is asking, how do I know what I need to work on after a failed audition if I'm not told why they're saying no? Well, that's the thing. They might be saying no, Katie, because you are shorter than the tenor. You can't work on that. You're not gonna stretch your body to be like a foot shorter. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not about why they're saying no necessarily, because half of that is stuff that you can't change and has nothing to do with you, right? What it is for you to start to learn how to witness your own energy, your own thoughts, witness your body, so that you will know, part of what we coach on a lot at least in the intensive training program, is the idea of knowing the sweet spot, the feeling of the good sound. And that's very hard to find on your own. That's why we're here to guide you guys into that. Once you understand the feeling of the good sound and you understand the inputs that you have put in to get there, meaning, okay, I know the feeling of the good sound, and I know I get that when I am, we talk about what's the quarter that gets you the gumball. When the quarter I'm putting in is, it might be a mindset thing. It might be whatever. I can trust my body. It might be a technique thing. Down to go up in pitch. I'm down in my body. I'm down in my support to make the pitch go up. Whatever those inputs are, right? You know what they are as we're coaching you into feeling that sweet spot in your body. And you guys, when it is on and it hooks in, it's effortless. You feel that, you know that. And so we're coaching you to start to witness and to start to know, so that when you go into an audition, like our singers will come back, like Leslie will come back from an audition and she'll be like, Arden, I was all in my head. I wasn't in my grounded nature. I wasn't in my trust in my body. She knows those things because of the process that she's been coached in, conditioning them and learning them. And so when she goes into the audition, if it doesn't happen the way she wants it, it's like, okay, what's the one thing that I can identify that I was not optimizing, that I was not hooked in on? And then, we can coach on that more. And so part of the growth process is this idea of like the target-based thinking of what are 5 things that I did well, what's one thing that I can optimize, and learning what those things are for yourself. It's not about why they're saying no, because why they might be saying no, they might say no because they might be like, yeah, I don't know, it just didn't land for me. Okay, what are you gonna do with that? Like, how many times like in an audition it's like, yeah, I don't know, it just didn't land for me. I don't know what you're gonna do with that, right? So we're teaching you how to identify what you're feeling in your body, what you are noticing in your mind, and being able to identify that sweet spot when you're there and when you're not, and then how to get back there, right? Let's see, more questions. Okay. Pamela is asking, every voice has a different tone and timbre. How do you coach to get the best tone? Is there a spot in the soft palate to reduce nasal or increase volume? Okay, so let me just go through these like one by one. How do you coach to get the best tone? Okay, so again, that idea of the sweet spot. I can hear. So we have a singer who I'm working with right now. He's amazing. He's a tenor. He sings opera, and he has a lot of mindset stuff going on that has caused him to put a lot of pressure on his sound to kind of beef it up, okay? And it ends up kind of just being not the most authentic, organic. It's not his best tone. It doesn't sound quite as free. It sounds like he's trying a lot, and and I'm gonna kind of imitate here for a second. He's not this bad, but it ends up being a little bit Kermit the Froggy because he's trying to prove and make his sound bigger and more. So he ends up being like "Ke gelida manina," and it's this kind of like Kermit the Froggy kind of sound. Okay, and you guys, like, this is my unique mojo. This is my zone of genius, which is that I can hear a sound and I can identify what your body's doing to create it. That's not free. And so I don't know what his most free tone is yet because he hasn't made it, but I know how he's creating the sound he's creating is being created by a ton of tongue tension. And so I'm helping him to undo the tension. And then where the sound lands is his most authentic sound. When he comes out of his tongue, when he comes out of his throat, "Ke gelida, ke gelida," you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what his most authentic tone will be yet, but I can identify the habit that he's in, and I know that he's not in it. And then we go through the process of uncover, discover, discard. Let's allow the body to do what it's, solidify the foundation of the technique that's needed for the most open, free, unencumbered larynx, jaw, tongue, soft palate. And then what invariably happens is the singer's like, "That sucked." And I'm like, and everybody else in the class is like, "That was amazing," because they're not used to that timbre in their head. He's not used to what that sounds like in his head. In his head, it sounds less than, it sounds not as beefy. And that's why he's been, manipulating to try to get it to sound amazing in his head. But he doesn't know the feeling of the good sound yet. So when I get to say, "Yes, good, yes," and then it's like, okay, what was I doing? What were the thoughts that were going on that was allowing that? How was my body responding? What was the image that I was using? And now he knows what the sweet spot of the best sound is. He knows what that feeling is. And then the sound just is the sound. It just is what it is. It sounds free. It sounds authentic. Out here to us. To him, he's not used to that in his head. So he, it's coaching so that he doesn't judge it and then go back to the old manipulation, right? So when you have the coordination to integrate the opposition and the larynx is totally free, that is your best timbre. That is your best sound. So in coaching you to those things, then you find that, right? Is there a spot in the soft palate to reduce nasal or increase volume? Okay, so soft palate has nothing to do with volume. Soft palate has to do with shape and space of resonance. That is what is facilitating how the sound bounces around inside your mouth and creates, the specific overtones in the sound. So if you have a nasal sound, it's because your soft palate is low. So, make your sound nasal go ha 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 ha, like if you were a French chef, ha 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 ha. Notice your soft palate is way down, touching probably your tongue, ha 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 ha. And there's nowhere for that sound to go, so it just goes straight out your nose, okay? So the way that we reduce a nasal sound is by finding your sound. Ha 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 ha. All I did was push down my soft palate. Ha. All I'm doing is pushing my soft palate down or pulling it up, okay? So it's not a spot, it's just where you're putting it, okay? Good questions. Sarah, Arden, you say siren instead of sing. Please specify, please demonstrate. Also singing through your larynx, please demonstrate. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by singing through your larynx. I don't think I've ever said that. I'll ask you about that in a second to clarify, but let me talk about sirening first. And I need to I need to just change my view here for a second so that I can see. Okay, sorry. So sirening. So this is a mindset thing that also is a embodiment of support thing, okay? So when we talk about support, what I've said over and over and over again is we do not change support when we change pitch. It doesn't matter if I'm moving up in the scale, moving down in the scale. It doesn't matter if I'm like a lot of different pitches, okay? My gentle flex and flow through my support is consistent and gradual and gentle the entire time, okay? But a lot of singers are in the habit, because they don't know any better, they've never been taught any differently, is articulating their pitches with their support. And so what that would be is something like mama, mama. I'm exaggerating it so you can get what I'm doing, okay? But that feeling of up and down and on and off and articulating the pitches with the support and taking the muscles of support and pulling them in the direction of the pitch, right? Doesn't work, okay? So that idea of gentle down and out consistently and gradually over the course of the entire phrase, and it does not stop and it does not change just because your pitches are moving directions, changing, whatever, okay? That can be hard for singers to get, to grasp. So the siren, which is ma, right? You're moving through all the pitches and all the semitones as you go up and down, and you're teaching your body, even though that's happening, that this is still going in one direction. Ma. You could see my muscles engage, especially on my sides, and but it's all going, all of it, okay? So the beauty of the siren, when I say siren, don't sing, the mindset piece of that is also helping singers to just gently stay in that direction and flow through that direction, because they're not worried about making it pretty, making it interesting. Because I'm like super precious and I'm it's not efficient. It's not efficient. But I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I better make it sound good. So now I'm gonna get all up in there and I'm gonna, maneuver my body to like do the thing, which doesn't serve me. Siren, for a lot of singers, is not related to sing. They get nervous when they sing. Oh, it's got to sound good. I'm in the melody. I'm in the words. It's got to sound good. I don't want to embarrass myself. And so they get all up in there and they over manipulate. Okay. Versus that's sing. Versus siren is like, oh, okay. No pressure there. I'm just ma. And what they do quite naturally is that gentle, consistent lean, even though they're changing pitches, even though they're moving up and down, and they just do it naturally. Okay. So sing tends to have a connotation of like, I gotta make it good, I gotta make it pretty, versus siren, for most singers, has the connotation of, oh, just vibrating. It doesn't have to sound good. It's not singing, so I don't need to over manipulate. And then they don't over manipulate, and they end up in the exact efficient mode of their support that they need all the time. Okay, so the idea of siren don't sing is to help singers learn and get into that place of no matter what they're doing, because we want that connection, that through line of the support through the changing pitches. And you do it on the siren, but you don't do it the minute you go into words, because now you see it as 5 different things, or you see it as I gotta make each word and sound good and manipulate. So we go into that idea of siren it. He's a very smart prince. Going back to the Into the Woods. He's a prince who prepares. That's me sirening through. Does it sound like singing? Sure, it sounds like singing to you. But if I, in my, 20 years ago when I was learning all of this, if I thought sing, he's a very smart prince. That's what my support is doing. And it's a more fraught sound and it's less efficient, because I'm leaking air. And then I'm going to try to control and tense from here, which doesn't serve me over a 3-hour production of Into the Woods. So I hope that clarifies, Sarah. Let me know in the chat if it does. Okay, let's see. Diane, is this part of breathing? If you're in the moment when singing, how do you prevent yourself from crying and choking up and then messing up the whole song? Okay, so this is a great question, and I love answering this question because truly, if you're really connecting to the story, and it's a story that is so like vulnerable for you, and you end up crying, and you can't cry and sing at the same time. You can't. It's impossible, that choked up feeling. There's only one singer I know who can like do a massive ugly cry and still sound amazing, and that's Leah Michele. And if you guys know who she is, Leah Michele from Spring Awakening, from Glee. For the most part, it's really hard to cry and sing at the same time. And so when you're practicing, it's allowing yourself to go to that place. Because see, most of the time, if you're having that experience where when you really get in front of the audience and you really let yourself tap in and let yourself go there, and then it makes you cry because you're being affected by the emotional experience of the song. What that often tells you is that in your practice, that probably wasn't happening, is my guess, most of the time. And it's because when you're practicing, you're not really letting yourself go there to tap into that emotional connection of the song that's very raw for you because you don't want to cry. And so then when you get into the performance, when you do, it's overwhelming, and then you do cry, and then you can't sing and you get choked up. So one of the things that I coach singers into is like, in your practice, you've got to let yourself cry. You've got to let yourself go to that internal place where you're really affected by what you are saying. And you get to that moment, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a song that used to be like that for me. I can't think of it right now, but it's like you get to that moment where you start to get choked up. Don't stop yourself. In your practice, let yourself cry. You don't have to sing, but it's like move through the emotion. Like let yourself feel the grief of that song, or the sadness or the hardship of that song. Cry through it, and you might have to let yourself cry through it. It might happen like 5 or 6 times when you practice. It might take 4 or 5 weeks of that, but eventually you kind of create like a little emotional callus where you've cried through it, you've moved through it, you've felt it, and now you can, in your performance, you can go in and really tap into that, but it's not so raw. And it's not going to make you get all choked up because you've moved through it, you've let yourself feel it. But in the performance, you can feel it and not let it overtake you because you've already moved through it. So let yourself cry when you practice. Go there, be there with it, feel it, move through it. Do it as many times as you need, and then when you get into the performance, I promise you, it won't be as judgy for you, and you won't get as choked up, and you won't cry, but you'll still be emotionally connected. Good question. Let's see. More questions. Ooh, Andrea, can I talk about belting and what is happening when people do it? Okay. So I hate the word belting. If you've watched any of my content, you know I hate the word belting because the language that we used to talk to ourselves around our singing matters, because, as I'll say it again, your body is responding to the thoughts in your mind. And so belt, what does the word belt to you connote? To me, belting connotes whack. I'm gonna belt this, I'm gonna whack it, right? And that is what most singers do when they belt, is they take the energy of their support and they whack it in. Ha! Ha! You know what I'm saying? And it's way too forced. It's contract and push up instead of lean down. And it creates strain, tension, discomfort, and is why people have a hard time belting. So first and foremost, I much prefer the term high chest voice. That has no value, that has no high chest voice. It just is what it is. It's chest voice, it's higher part of your range. It doesn't imply a whack. So that's first of all. When what belting is it's just full chest voice at the top of your chest range. There's no mix in it, meaning there's no head voice, high shape and space that is being mixed in with that high chest voice. what's happening when people do it, well, it depends on, are they doing it right or are they not doing it right? I just described what they're doing when they're not doing it right, which is that they're just pushing everything up to push that high chest voice up and creating a ton of tension beneath their larynx. What we really want to do is we want to keep an open throat. And we want to really, so the higher you go in each register, meaning the higher you go in chest voice and the higher you go in head voice, the higher you go in each register, the more support you need. So if I'm up at the top of my chest voice, so let's say siren up on my chest voice, I am lowering down my pelvic floor. And so I'm sitting on a hard chair right now, and I will really feel that pelvic floor like descending down as I siren in chest voice. Defying gravity. I don't know if that's the right key, but that's high chest voice, okay? That's me like really anchoring down to be able to be up in the top of my chest voice without my whole body pushing up and straining my larynx. So that's a little nutshell about belting. There is a value put on belting, which I think is false, meaning a lot of singers, well, I don't have a high belt, so then they go into this less than, I'm not good enough because I don't have high belt. And I'm like, who cares? Some singers have high belts. Some singers can work on that and get there, but maybe they're better in a mix. Defying gravity, defying mix, chest. It's like you got to start to learn your instrument and understand what your lane is. Not all voices are meant to do all things, and that's okay. Just like not all bodies are meant to do all things. You know, you have a long distance runner in the Olympics who is, marathoning 26 miles. You think he's making himself feel bad because he won a gold medal in the marathon and he didn't win the sprint, right? So it's like, it's high belt. It's just one thing. You might be a different kind of singer. Not all voices are meant to do all things, and that is okay. It's getting to know what your special sauce is and then allowing the body to be in the best possible foundation and efficiency to do that. Let's see, I'm going to go down the line. Okay, Andrew, how does one reconcile the vocal smile with unsmiling vocal expressions such as, death scenes and Don Giovanni going to hell? Great question, Andrew. So when you're new at this, in terms of really feeling the high shape and space of resonance, soft palate stretch, the easiest way to find it is aligning with an external smile. Because when you're in an external smile, your cheeks are riding up, your ears are widening, your molars are riding up into your brain. When you're in that external smile, it puts you in the internal smell the brownies place for the phrase you're gonna sing. But that's like the doorway for learning this, okay? Once you have that internal feeling, I can still be high between my ears with a high soft palate, but be singing something that feels sorrowful, because I know how to get that now without necessarily needing to actually smile. Because it's not really actually about the external smile. It's about what's happening internally when you do that. And once you know how to do that, you don't need the external. And I will remind you guys that the emotion of a song is broadcast with your eyes and your heart space, not with your face. So I could be, poor John. I am not smiling, but do you guys see I haven't let it go yet. I'm still there, right? It's internal, but I'm in the sorrow of por amor in my eyes, and I don't have to, do anything with my external mouth smile to do that. So I hope that answers the question, Andrew. It's a great question. Let's see. I'm waiting. Sorry, I'm in the chat. Okay, so Pam is asking about tone in terms of our soft palate resonance space for pop music versus operatic music. So when we're talking about like head voice for pop versus head voice for opera. So remember, we talk about it's the shape and space of the inside soft palate that matters. Shape and space, okay? So the shape matters. So when I'm singing opera, my inside soft palate space, the way I feel it, is very domey. It's very round. Very round, okay? When I sing pop music or musical theater and I want a head voice sound, but I don't want it to sound operatic, I still have a lot of space, but if you think of it instead of like a domey roof, it's more of a gabled roof. It's more of a pitched roof. So if I was gonna sing, you know, well, I don't know, I'll go back to the Into the Woods, but I'll do it with a more pop sound. He's a very smart prince. He's a prince. He's a very smart prince. That's my head voice, but I can go smart, or I can go smart. I'm changing the shape of my soft palate, but I'm not changing the space. So when it comes to tone, and that's true, like, you know, we still want that open soft palate space, but the shape that we're using to get it is a little bit different because, again, it's the shape and the space. And the shape determines also the kind of resonance that we're getting. Cool? Let's see. Did we have... Okay. Estelle, in my late 20s, is it true that the voice will go through another change when I turn 30, and how do I stay consistent? Ooh, good question. Okay, so, you know, like men's voices change in puberty pretty dramatically and in a pretty short period of time around like 14, 15, okay? Women's voices also change hormonally starting at puberty, around, you know, when a woman starts to menstruate, when a girl starts to menstruate, but over the next like 15 or so years. And so your voice is not actually going to settle into itself until it's mid-30s, believe it or not, okay? And so but nothing in how you use your anchor and your sail and your opposition, none of that changes. You might start to notice that certain parts of your voice feel easier and to find more like full resonance as you get older. So like for me, I'm a very high voice type, and as an opera singer, I was a very high, very light coloratura voice. I sang in the stratosphere above the staff like all the time. That was my happy place. Those were my money notes. And for the higher, lighter voices, and this is true for all voices, but for all female voices, but it's just even more pronounced for the higher, lighter voices. Middle voice just feels like no man's land. Like I would rather be below the staff, like below an E, or like above the staff, from an F to the stratosphere. But like the actual notes from like E above middle C to like an octave above that E, like middle voice, it felt like there just was no color in my sound. It didn't feel rounded. And that was hormones. And that's normal. Like that's what all high sopranos go through, even in a much more pronounced way than if you are a lower voice type. But it is still true for lower voice types too, that the middle of the voice with hormones as women get older fills out, rounds out more. And so stuff that just was like torture for me to sing in my mid-20s and early 30s, like Mozart, for example, that was middle voicey for me, like sitting around C above middle C. Now is like, oh my God, it feels so good. I could sing it all day long. I'm 48. And like for the last 10 years or so has just been like so yummy. So the thing though that facilitates that is making sure that when you're younger, that you're not doing things to try to beef those aspects of your voice up and try to manipulate those aspects of your voice because it's false, and you're going to get into tensions and strains and manipulations that sabotage the opposition and the freedom and the consistency, right? So just making sure that you're staying in anchor and sail no matter what. And then whatever happens hormonally happens. And, now I'm 48, like, I have not, I mean, I don't know if this is TMI, whatever, but like I'm not in menopause yet. So who knows? But as I approach that, I have noticed in the last like 2 years or so that this super, super high extension of my voice, like way above the staff, the, E above high C, F above high C, I just don't really have that anymore. And it's what happens, it's your cords thicken and they shorten a little bit as your hormones change, just in the same way that they did when you were 20 and 30. But that thickening and slightly shortening was what made you sound more mature like a woman, but that continues, and then it lops off the super, super top, just like a little bit, tiny bit. Like if you're noticing range issues that you think have to do with age, and it's more than just 1 or 2 notes at the top. If you feel like you've lost your whole high voice, that's not age. That's a problem with how you're using your voice. And we fix that all the time with singers who are past a certain age in the studio. But, you are the way you are. Like, then hormones happen. And so as long as you're staying on your opposition and you're staying on the efficiency and consistency of anchor and sail, you can move through any of the age transitions and sing well into old age just fine. Good question. Pamela, yes, that was my daughter singing. I wasn't sure if you guys could hear that. She's got a friend over, and they're both in the musical Newsies right now. They do like their summer theater camp, whatever. And so I think they were practicing. Okay, let's see. I think that we have addressed all the questions. Does anybody else have anything pressing? I know we're over time a little bit. Yeah, Billy.
So 2 quick questions. I hope they're quick. I'll try to make it make sense. Is there an order? I get the breathing and the flexing. Is there an order to win the sail? I know you said when you're singing it should always be there, but is there a...
Yeah. So you want to breathe into the sail.
Okay, so as you breathe in, that's
as you're breathing, you're right. So there's something that I coach our singers on all the time, which is what I call the order of operations, which maybe, Amy, you can put this in the chat as I say it, which is release, receive, engage, phonate. So part of the first step is not just the release, because the inhale is a release, right? It's not just the release of all that, but it's also the release of this, to breathe in, to create that space. So it's releasing the throat, releasing the soft palate, so that you're breathing in to that sail, so that you're already there when you engage, and then you phonate. Makes sense?
And the second part of my question, I'm sure there's no way, but sometimes I can feel it, sometimes I can't. Is there a way to like position a mirror in front of a mirror so you can see like...
Absolutely. Just practice in front of the mirror, and you'll see, are you, there are giants in the sky. Are you here? Or are you, there are giants in the sky? Like you can see your physiology. Are you watching everything, cheeks, ears, jaw? Are you watching everything go this way? Or are you watching everything smell the brownies and smile while you do it right now? Like, I know I was saying a minute ago that we eventually want to be able to not need the smile, but you all need the smile right now, because you don't have the conditioned internal physiology yet to do that. So that idea of breathing into the smile, or with a mouth breath, a little bit of a surprise breath. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Sarah, did you have another question? I see your hand.
Yes, thank you so much, Arden. Too much vibrato. How do I stop that forever?
It's a breath support issue. Okay.
It's a what situation?
It's a breath support issue.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and so when we have too much vibrato, and honestly, the reason why we associate that kind of wide, like wah, wah, wah vibrato with aging voices is not actually occasionally, I'd say 10% of the time, it's because there's atrophy of like the actual chords and they just can't occlude. But most of the time, it's because the diaphragmatic and abdominal container support to support the diaphragm to be stable just isn't there, because most of us as we age, we don't do as much activity, we don't do as much, and so we're just not used to like that integrated consistent abdominal flex, so we don't do it, and so then the diaphragm flags and it's moving in and out of that airflow, you know what I'm saying? And so most of the time we can fix that really easily when we work the breath support in a way that, is super integrated and super conditioned and super consistent. So
Thank you.
yeah, good
Thank
question.
you so much. Okay.
Okay, I'm looking. Did I miss anybody's questions? I think I got everything. I see you're unmuted, Katie. Did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm getting the siren right. I think I'm overthinking it, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, so what makes you think you're overthinking it and not getting it right? What happens when you siren?
I think I tend to freeze up, or it just doesn't sound right.
Okay.
But yeah,
Are you standing right now?
is what?
Can you stand and do a siren?
Okay.
Just stand up and just do a siren, just like before you even do a singer siren, I legit want you to like pretend that you're like playing with my kids and you're gonna play ambulances, and I just want you to do an ambulance for a second. Woo, 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 woo! Can you just do an ambulance? Okay. Now, if you were doing an ambulance and you were gonna like slow it down so it's in like slow motion, woo, woo! Can you do that?
Woo, woo.
Okay. So what's happening, and this is why working on the siren will be good for you, is because what's happening is that you're pushing, you're not anchoring your support. You're taking your ribs and your lower support and you're pushing them in to push the siren up and out. And it's too much air. Woo! Woo! And so you're contracted and you're not getting the ability to keep going around and around with the siren. Okay? So I want you to visualize sirening into your feet. Woo! Put the siren down into the floor.
Woo.
Yes, it's getting better, but you're half in the new and half in the old. So I know intellectually you're telling yourself to move it down into your feet, but your head and your neck have a different idea, and they want to go like this. When you watch the video, you're going to see, okay, which tells us that your whole body energy is not going down. Some of it's going down and some of it's going up, and so now it's fighting. You're fighting each other, okay? So I want you to like imagine that you are a tree and you have roots, but the roots of the tree go like 75,000 feet down into the ground, like to the core of the earth, versus the trunk of the tree is just, 5 feet out of the earth. You have way more roots going down than you do trunk on the top of the ground, okay? And I want you to take your hand and I want you to send your energy, direct your energy through your hips, through your feet, through the floor, through the roots, 75,000 feet into the ground. Woo!
Woo.
Yes, there you go. That was it. What did you notice about that?
I think it was more steady. Whereas like before, where before is kind of more shaky.
You're right. It was because your support was going in the direction of the pitch. It was trying to push the pitch up and out, and it flooded you and it made it feel unstable because it wasn't stable. When you aligned with your roots, you created that stability because the support is moving no matter what. It's not moving anything other than this. Doesn't matter that the pitch is going up. You got it?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see a question that Heidi sent to me in a DM. As a coloratura, what is the average high note a coloratura could sing as they age? Completely dependent on your own physiology, your own genetics. You know, I mean, I know, for example, like Natalie Dessay, who's a super famous coloratura from like the 90s and 2000s. She hardly ever sings above the staff anymore at all. Like she tops out at like G, A. I can still sing C sharp and D sharp. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to tell you there's like one, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that whatever your top was, it's as you move through menopause and as you move into older age as a woman, it's normal for you to lose a little bit of that top extension, but just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like not a full octave, not even a fifth. You know, like for me, my voice used to, you know, I used to be singing E's and F's and F sharps, and now I'm at like, you know, D, and I can sing a D great, and that's just a couple semitones. You know, it's a problem if I were to lose like a whole octave, if I could only sing to A. That's not a problem with my physiology. Most of the time, that would be a problem with how I'm using my physiology to create the efficiency in my support and in my resonance. So, yeah. All right, you guys. So we have been through a ton today, and I know we're over time. Oh my God, there was one question that I forgot to answer from that was sent to me. Okay, somebody wrote, I need to think about it. If I want to do the program, but I don't enroll right now, like what are the options? Are there only certain time windows which we can join? Can I think about it and enroll in the training program later? So the answer is yes. We are not going anywhere. You can enroll in the intensive training program at any time, but that would be at our usual 9K tuition. The 7K is available till midnight tonight. So if that matters to you to get the discount, then either take care of your enrollment tonight or get on my call calendar. If you want to talk timing about, you know, we can do a deposit. It's not a big deal. But here's what I'm going to say about that, you guys, which is that indecision, like not deciding, is also a decision. Like, what is it costing you the longer you wait to decide that you want to fight for your voice and go all in on your talent? Like, it's time. It costs you money, it costs you opportunities that you're missing, right? So how much more information do you need to decide that you want to be on big stages doing what you love every day? So just saying not deciding is deciding that you're okay with more of the same. And maybe for some of you, that's okay. And you can follow me on social and come work with us at any time. You can continue to engage with me, you know, and I will continue to love on you and all of our, you know, on YouTube and Facebook. And that doesn't cost me anything, but it does cost you. And so the question that might help you get clear is, are you willing to settle for more of those costs? Like more auditions where you get into the callbacks, but they go with the other guy, getting passed over yet again, having to explain to your partner who's so burnt out at work because they're still supporting your dreams. And that shame, you know? More time still attached to a side job that you hate because you're not able to book the paying gigs, or because you can't fill a 200-seat club at $50 a ticket in multiple cities. And how hard it is juggling everything, which leaves you less time for yourself, your family, and most importantly, your music. The money you are not making, guys, it is a cost to you. And the more time you spend in your blocks not knowing how to make the impact that brings the career you want, because you guys, impact equals income. The bigger the impact, the bigger the income. You want big league career with a big paycheck, then you got to learn how to make a bigger impact. And the longer you wait to understand and fix the things that are sabotaging your impact, you guys, you can't get that time back. So are you willing to settle for those costs? If the answer is yes, that's okay. That it's not the right time for you. I will still love on you in our free group with all my free content. But if the answer is no, and you're not willing to settle for more of the same, you want big shifts and you're tired of waiting for them. You want results like like Leslie, like Cora, like Suzette. Like there's no other approach that is this effective. If there were, I'd be teaching that instead of this. Because when you train with me and my team, what you get is a hands-on, results-based approach that works with you to implement all the techniques and the tools that you need next. And so we're not leaving you hanging in the wind. Like this is a long-term sustainable approach. It is not the vocal fad of the day, because you have a holistic 360 support team to help you embody your skill set, your mindset, your artistry. And that is what creates unstoppable singers. So if you want the tuition discount and all the other bonuses, then take care of your enrollment before midnight. Ashley's putting the link in the chat again. All the information about the program is there. All of the different tuition options. You can take care of your payment right there on the website. If you have questions that you want to make sure it's right for you, like I've been saying, book a discovery call with me. I've set aside some time this week and we will see if that makes sense for you. And by the way, if you get on my calendar by today, even if the call isn't until next week, you will still get the 7K discount when you enroll, but you have to get on my call calendar. So here's the link again to have a discovery call with me. Those of you who have been so engaged all week, I see you. Andrea, I see you. Dennis, I see you. Diane, and I'm looking at everybody in here. Kevin, Kent, I see you. Laura, like Michael, all of you who have been so engaged this whole week. Guys, why aren't you on my call calendar? Get on my schedule. Get on my calendar and let's talk this out. So book it. Let's talk. And again, if you know this is the right training opportunity for you, then go get the link for the program information from the chat, all the payment options, and enroll now. And you could literally be in class with us starting this week. So it's been amazing to spend this time with you all this week. Be sure to grab the replays and download the homework before they go away at midnight tonight after the workshop. And stay active in our Facebook group. I will continue to see you in there. I go live every Monday with some sort of coaching around what I think you guys need. So stay in the Facebook group and don't be a stranger. Enjoy the rest of the week, you guys. Have the rest of your Sunday. From my heart to your heart and from my team to you guys, we are honored that we get to serve you. So I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.